had been a golden afternoon, and I remember having the familiar conviction that life was beginning over again with the sunrise.
2026.
It's coming.
Morning episode. These beautiful Christmas cacti behind you.
Morning. It's 1:20 in the afternoon.
Brother. It's the illusion of
Feels
cinema.
like morning.
Okay, but
Wait, did you mean morning?
morning
Or
morning.
or morning?
So I think what I mean though is I like these episodes. Like, this is a weekend episode. Obviously, we usually shoot during the week. This is during the sunlight. We have a bit of a different energy in these things. We've had coffee.
Do you need the light, by the way? Did we ever turn it on during the day?
We can.
Oh, I didn't know. I can't remember if we did or didn't.
Let's do it. It'll give you a little bit of a line.
Yeah, give me a little key over here in the darkness all the time.
Oh, yeah, that made a huge
Oh, yeah. Light me up. Sorry I interrupted you.
No. It's actually turned all the way down.
Yeah, crank it up so I'm not in silhouette. Give me a little key here, buddy.
So should we just crank this thing all the way to 1,000?
Yep.
All right, it's at 100%.
Let's go.
That's pretty.
AB? Yeah, I'll take it. I need all the light I can get over
I'm
here.
going 85. Anyways,
Hopefully these flips can take care of that.
daylight episode.
Yep.
Good energy.
Coffee. Freshly caffeinated.
Cheers. We've been doing this. Were we close enough for coffee and hangs in 2019 for this, or was it 20? We definitely were, because was 2019 the first year we did this?
Oh God, I don't think it was that early.
I have a picture of me and you on your couch in like 2019. I was wearing super tight pants.
Was that like doing that
you had a
interview,
really short haircut.
doing that like sit down talk after we did the spec commercial though? Not
No,
that photo was from
that would have been
that
2020.
instant. Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, the 2019 thing was like you and Cody over, and we're like screwing around with a camera,
Hanging out, yeah.
testing some lenses or something that Cody got. But no, I mean,
Anyways, yeah.
yeah, I don't think anything.
So at least 5 years, maybe
Yeah.
6. Or no, that's not true, because 21, 22, 23, 24. This is 25.
But we would have done,
It's really, did we do 2019, 2020? So this is at least year 5 or 6.
yeah. So
Maybe year 7.
yeah. And I'm sorry, I was thinking you were referencing not like filming a podcast, but
Yeah.
doing conversations not about this, but like this.
Yeah.
You're talking about more of like the annual. We used to call them kind of goal setting. But,
Yeah.
but-
Yep.
so-
Sorry. I came
yeah.
in with no yes. So that just kind of how long we've been doing these. And I guess you could almost say that the last couple of years we haven't done them to the same extent. We kind of have this conversation every year.
I think you and I kind of do it, but in the past, just so everyone knows, we would, after the new year, we would all meet for coffee. Me, Cody, DJ, sometimes you, and then we would go over what our goals are.
Yeah.
I started shifting less from like all these metric-based goals, like I want this much revenue, I want this much work, I want, to sort of like, designing what I want my year to look like, both personally and professionally, and then saying, what are some of the things that you have to do to have that?
Mm-hmm.
And that could have been like a certain amount of revenue. And then on my own, I wouldn't necessarily get into the specifics with you guys, but on my own, I'd be like, well, if you need 100K annually in revenue to have your life like this, both personally and professionally, like what are some of the things that you're going to do to achieve 100K in revenue? And I would try to, come up with what my plan was to do that. And that's similar to what, I would bring to this conversation is much more focused on what I want my life to look and feel like. And then what's like the plan to actually achieve that? Yeah.
This might, it's just something we've kind of done for a while, and it might be a totally cliche episode. It might be a episode that kind of like I don't know how together it'll feel.
Yeah.
Some of our episodes are just completely wandering though, so I'm sure this will be fine within that framework. But
Yep.
I think it's fun. Something that we have talked about this, especially the last few episodes. It's just like bringing in more, like being able to use this platform as like a bit of an accountability. Not that we need to use this for anything, but like obviously we want to use it as I think the biggest reason that we did this in the first place was we wanted to do something consistently over time, just that ritual quality of it. And then also as like almost like a time capsule for our kids, family, whatever, putting away our thoughts at a time. It's almost like a digital journal.
Yeah.
And it uses a medium that we both enjoy, audio and video. So I think, a great way to almost bookend that or give little chapters to that. We don't like to do things that are very time specific, but I do think, talking about some goals, accounting for those, or not necessarily goals, but just like outcomes that we want to pursue, and then accounting for those and accounting for the process. I think it's interesting. I think it's helpful. I think it totally fits the ambition of this podcast that we originally had. So,
Yep. Agreed.
I mean, yeah, I think, so the one thing I wrote was check-ins. I think we check in like either monthly or, once every couple of months, and just, bring it back up. Hey, how's this going? How's this going?
Yeah.
Hold each other accountable. Use the, all 12 people that are watching to hold us accountable.
Yeah. And I think that would be helpful to have, to lay things out a little bit. And I don't think we'll get hyper specific in the time that we have to talk today, but, to have conversations about, based on, the design that you laid out for your year, how is it lining up with that now? Where are you not experiencing personally and professionally what you were hoping for, and what's causing that shortfall? Is it discipline? Is it too much indulgence? Is it,
I think,
unexpected
it's accounting
thing?
for like personal, obviously separating between agency and just, unplanned,
right. Family
force
emergency
majeure or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, especially I think a lot of times it does come down to agency and sometimes you just have changes in, I think that was one thing that we used to make these really specific goals, and then, your interests or your whatever would change over the course of the year, or like the way you saw a situation would evolve. So I think the evolution of this discussion has been more towards that grand design, to get away from that. Like you're probably like, none of the stuff we're going to discuss is really probably going to shift interest wise or whatever over the next year.
Yeah. And before we start, I just, for the, listeners and viewers to be thinking about as we go into this, be thinking, how did your year go from what you thought it was going to be leading into January of 2025? How did things go personally and professionally? What happened that you set out to accomplish? What didn't happen? What were the causes of that? What were the symptoms of things not being the way that you wanted to? Maybe you were lacking discipline or focus or whatever it is that maybe led to, I don't know, not earning enough money or not having certain projects, come to fruition, whatever. You don't have to, put anything in the comments or anything, but I just would want you to kind of have that in your head while we go into this, because I think that would be, if I was listening to this, that would be helpful for me to understand my own context as I listen to two people talk about what they're thinking for the next year. And I don't know that we need to summarize how we feel our 2025 went.
I mean, I just wrote a couple of quick little
I can too.
points.
Yeah.
So, and I've mentioned this, I think I've mentioned this on here before, but I've definitely mentioned this in the conversation. Like this year, obviously, it went by quick. Every year goes by quick, whatever. I think that's a silly, but this was the slowest, I don't know if I would say eventful, but just like it was the slowest year for me. And I mean that in like a really good way. It was the most aware and like in the world I felt probably in recent memory.
Yeah.
Like in a decade.
Mm-hmm.
And
I think I would share that experience.
Really?
Not, I think you were that way.
You felt, yeah,
Yes.
no, I know that's like, so I felt that way. And, you know, last year, I think we talked a lot about being more in the world and like experiencing things less in the magic, right? Like it's kind of this conversation last year. That was a big thing. And I think that has really attributed to this feeling that, oh, this was a very eventful year. Mm-hmm. And I mean, there's all of these little moments that I have, and I'm like, man, this was a full year. Like if this is the kind of year that you look back on and you're like, man, like I just give me 10 of those and that's a good life. And I don't mean that in any way, like I didn't, you know, I don't mean that in any kind of commerce way, or like I didn't win an Oscar, or like like there's no achievement or anything that
But there was a lot of fulfillment from feeling like you were,
you know, just
in
like
reality and present.
Yeah, and just relationships, like not a lot of like new relationships or anything, but just really indulging in the ones that are there and seeing people I care about, and you know,
going places you care about.
Going places, and you know, trying different things, and just being in the world.
Yep.
You know, whenever I did consume things, a lot of times it was things that, especially in recent months, like things that I really sought out or wanted to. Not a lot of wasted. I mean, obviously there's still some, but definitely less than in years past. And yeah, I mean, just pretty positive year too. I didn't really feel, you know, didn't get into these like negativity loops or anything. Kind of stayed out of the whole noisy world and just focused on, and it was it was good. It was a good year. It was fulfilling in that way. So
good.
Expand, like you said, you kind of felt the same way. I'd love to. Why?
Well, I think it's uncoupling the internet from not every aspect of my life, but it being sort of accessible and present and kind of nipping at my heels all the time, especially since so much of my work and revenue relies on the internet. So you you know, being, you know, I was out in the world a lot more just because of the shift of how I'm earning revenue. So, you know, part of what I discovered this year was wanting to incorporate retail and e-commerce more into the foundation of the revenue I earn doing what I do. So sourcing vintage stuff and putting it in my friend Josh's shop Lost here in Omaha and selling there on consignment, and selling clothing and cameras and other small interesting things like a VHS movie or something like that on eBay or Depop. And then getting vinyl records and taking them to the record shop and selling them for a profit. All of that stuff had me out in the real world, sort of disconnected from the internet a lot more. I also sort of like went, oh, I could be documenting some of this, you know. So I did bring the internet back to it a little bit, but not in an entirely intrusive way. So, for example, and I won't spend a ton of time on this, but like I want to record the vinyl record flip throughs I do when I go to a thrift store or an estate sale for two reasons. If I look back at it later that night, in case I missed something, I can go back and get it. But then, you know, this is another aspect of making content that might be useful. And and can I make videos about these vinyl record adventures? So, luckily that's not like vlogging. Hey everyone, blah blah blah. You know, it's like a low key kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I'm not wearing my Apple Watch anymore. I am getting closer and closer to some kind of like track phone for when I go out, and then I will kind of just uncouple my phone and have like a digicam. And if I want to take a picture that I want to share on Instagram, I can take the picture on the digicam and share it later. It doesn't have to be right that second. I don't have to be like, oh, hold on,
Plugged in
everybody.
at all times.
I gotta go post that we're going to a movie on Instagram, which, you know, generally I like doing. And then just, you know, when you're out in the real world, you meet people and you chew the fat.
Yeah, a lot of synchronicity, a lot of interesting little topics pop up.
Yeah, and so you like you are having a real world experience with people. You're caught up in something actually happening right then, and you're not drawn to your phone. You're not thinking about getting on the internet. You're not setting up your computer at a coffee shop. You're treating it more like a third place instead of just a second office.
You start to appreciate the little idiosyncrasies of life too, just of humans, and breaking up monoculture in a almost, it's completely organic. Like you start to just appreciate, oh, this person does this, and that's interesting, and I like that about them.
Yeah.
And that's like the start and the end of the whole process. There is like, oh, this person always does this, and I know that about them, and I appreciate that about this. Yeah,
I think you start getting longer stretches where you're not sort of like affected by the magic rectangle, and you sort of kind of go, oh, this is nice.
Yeah,
especially me being older, like, oh, I remember what it was like to just be out all day and like just be out.
Yeah, yeah.
And not doing stuff with computers and screens.
You're not
and all
concerned
that.
about anything that's outside of your immediate realm of focus, I guess. Yeah. That's I think that's a big win for 2025. I absolutely want to take it up even another level. And like, I'd like to work on my correspondence ability. Like I'd like to kind of start to dial into that anxiety that I have around like a immediate correspondence, or like, I don't know what that is. That's just some kind of psychological thing where it's like, I have a hard time, especially it builds up and it causes this massive anxiety, and just like, oh, like getting back in a timely manner, or like losing contact and making plans and things like that. I need to work on that. Like, I mean, that's just something I'm terrible at, but that's definitely, a story that I'm telling. But yeah, just continuing to double down on that real experiences in the real world.
Yeah. I think too, something I'm interested in doing more in 2026 is having those experiences. And then if I am going to look at them for a source of making something like, a video or whatever, I want to start just writing more about those experiences. So instead of creating a vinyl record project on YouTube and documenting everything that I find out there, how can I write articles about just what doing things related to that brings up just in life? Is it relationships? Is it a rare record I found? Is it, sort of how does doing that hold up the mirror to who I am as a person, and how can I explore that stuff through, articles or essays or whatever that are written and shared, and to develop just, my voice as far as like relaying what my experience was and sort of what I took away from this moment, or, whatever it is that I come up with. Because I think about, titles and a sort of a point to an article or essay all the time. And it's sort of like, well, it's not a video for, it's not like modern content, so I'm just going to keep putting it on the back burner. But I
indulge in those moments more.
I just want to make like a point of actually carving out time to create work that's not always harvesting real world experiences for videos, where you have to actually be doing the work of making the content while you're having the experience.
Yeah.
Whereas with an article, the worst case scenario is I have a conversation with someone or go to an estate sale or randomly go whatever I do and like have a thought in the truck and just like jot it down in a notebook. Like that's the extent of
there's more of you in that too, in the sense of like it's autobiography. There's more of a literary element. Like you might not remember the exact, intricacies of a conversation or of an encounter, but you're translating it.
Right.
And so by way of that, it's not that you're not doing that with a camera anyways, but it's even a little more, especially you. Somebody who's written a lot before.
But there's something about that translation of the experience rather than just like transferring the experience to someone else. Like, hey, you guys wish you were here going through all these records at this thrift store. I'm going to film it so you can feel like you are, but it's not going to have any deeper discussion, meaning, translation into something,
you're essentially creating like step down virtual reality.
Yeah. Right. Versus like, I don't know, like, it could be something as simple as I'm going to challenge myself to pick a record that would have been a record that I would have never bought, and I'm going to listen to it all week long and write an article
and write
about,
notes about what I think,
what I feel, what I think, why do I like it, why don't I like it?
That seems,
that's it. That's just a little interesting hook, I
Yeah.
listened to the last record I would have ever chosen.
So Matt's Substack is dropping in 2026.
Yeah. So, so I want to diversify how I make what I make, because I just don't want it to all be just endless video stuff, because while I enjoy it, the diversifying the format to me is interesting. And that's the same thing with, making photographs, even if it's not something that is shared on YouTube or whatever, but just creating a body of work that I don't know if it'll be a zine. I don't know if it'll be a photography book. I don't know if it will be a little gallery exhibit that I do. But again, being out in the real world and making things based on those experiences, sometimes while I'm there and sometimes after I've already had the experience.
Yeah.
And I have that here as sort of like the three pillars of how I'm going to both earn a living and make work.
Yeah. Well then, I mean, let's I guess lay out that and just get into some fun specifics then. I think the one thing that we kind of, it's not like a dramatic conflict. It's like the two sides of this coin of this table right now are Matt is definitely like his goals are going to come from more of obviously there's like a way he wants to engage with people in his life, and he wants personal relationships and consume things that are interesting to him and family. And I think there's a through line there.
Yeah.
But I think like the specific goals are very like revenue oriented, and I don't mean that in like a drag down way. It's Matt is trying to build something that is sustainable and long term and effective, and that's gonna support him and his family, and
right.
So that the goals are around that, and I'm less in like a building mode more. I mean, obviously like these goals are building, but it's like, I don't know. I don't want to really box us in. I think we just, there is a very interesting, like two sides of the same coin dynamic going on. And I think that might be enjoyable. So just something to key in on.
Yeah. Well, and the interesting thing too, in approaching it is, when you talk about what your 2026 is going to be or what you want it to be, et cetera, while your job isn't guaranteed every single day and you have to work to keep it and all that, you at least don't have like a sort of a hole that you're staring at nothing that you have to figure out how to fill.
The revenue number isn't like the thing I'm staring at each month. Right.
And so while you have to dedicate obviously a lot of time during your week to maintaining that by working, obviously, you're knowing that that's sort of taken care of. There's I would imagine there's a different feeling towards what personal, professional, non-revenue based, which could be revenue, but non-revenue based things you want to do, whether it's a writing project, a photography project, a website you're building, all of that stuff. Right?
I mean, literally I mean, it's not like a secret. I mean, obviously we spend a lot of time together and you kind of know where I'm oriented, but it is, I mean, instead of doing the whole like, when we tell you how to sell these 10 products, we're going to and then the whole 60-minute thing is about telling people how you're going to tell them how to sell something.
Right.
I mean, I'll just jump into the goals. It's like, like, from a very basic level, like I want to get my website live. I'd like to have that kind of going at the beginning of the year. And being able to get content on there. I'm pretty close on that. It's taken a back burner the last couple of months as I like get other routine things together. Obviously I kind of want to bring the photography back into focus. And I think it's going to shift like more from like, I mean, I definitely want it to be more location, like traveling based and kind of integrate that into it. So we'll see what comes from that, but whatever that iteration is. And then I also, I think it's going to be more digital stuff for the time being, because I kind of got into this. If I could find a darkroom, that would be exciting. So I might go downtown and like inquire about like some of the darkroom options in town. But I when we had this discussion a year ago, I was like, oh, we're going to be in a house by this time next year. And, we just kind of discussed it and we figured out, the apartment is kind of where we want to be, for the time. And like this space especially is where I want to be. And, this is where the magic is right now. And so we didn't end up, and it's easy. It's you with the computer that you were the MacBook, right? You couldn't write or the Mac PowerBook,
right? The iBook. Until my sister sent it to me, I couldn't get any work done.
And it's like I've got all this darkroom equipment,
which, by the way, I just bought that laptop.
You got
on
it
Facebook
back?
Marketplace
like,
for $20.
Can't get any work done until it comes. Dude. Is it just going to be a writing computer?
I'm going to sell the other one because it's the 14-inch model.
But it's the exact one that
it's the exact one that I sold in LA.
We're gonna have to bring that and like do a little show. We've told that story.
I almost brought it today, but I was worried about it being in the truck.
We've beat that metaphor to death, so we got to at least bring
when she took it out of the bag at the gas station we met at, I was like, oh, I mean, it was like immediately
just jolted you back to the
I got to install a solid state drive on it, and then dude, it's on Mac OS 9.2.
That's gonna be sweet.
But I'm gonna put it on Mac OS 10.
Gotcha.
I like 9.2 better for writing, but
Linux.
We'll see.
Linux.
We'll see.
We can talk about it.
It's in my goals here.
Let's do Linux. But yeah, I mean, I want to get the website live. Photography, obviously, though, I've been doing that thing where it's like, oh, the darkroom isn't set up, and so it's like I haven't used the 4x5. I haven't used the. I mean, I have a, I had this like vision of going into this like analog kind of thing and whatever. So
Josh has space available downtown. It's cheap.
That's still pretty expensive. We'll talk about that off. Yeah, we'll talk about that off camera.
Little gallery, little dark room, little.
I didn't even think about that, to be honest with you, until you just mentioned it. We'll talk about it.
Yeah,
we'll talk about it. Damn. Okay. It's not gonna happen.
He has it till April. So if push came to shove, we could at least just do it for a month and put all our work in there. Anyway.
Why didn't you mention this off? Matt just ruined the postscript of this. I'd like to publish some short stories.
Yeah.
Or at least shoot towards that.
Self-publish or try to get them published?
I don't know. I've never played around in the world of writing. So I've talked about this before with photography, and I'm still not here with writing, but I've been writing. So with photography, like the first 3 or 4 years of photography, like everything I did just made me sick in my stomach when I look back at it. And that's kind of happened with every artistic endeavor that I've had. And I mean, like my tastes have grown, and obviously it's like, I heard this great Pauline Kael quote. She was like, you don't have to, oh, what was it? Oh man. Essentially like you don't have to do the thing to know when it's good, but it was like, you don't have to go through the birth canal. I don't know what the quote was. I'm the vomit. So I'm
Birth
not,
canal.
but yeah. For some reason, birth canal. It might not even be related, but it was essentially, it was like you don't have to like do something to know that. Anyways, but yeah, with writing, I've never really reached that point where I feel confident in the work or whatever.
Yeah.
And I feel like I've kind of gotten to a point where, you know, I'm at least semi there in the last year or so. And so I want to, I mean, now it's just attrition, right? Over time. It's like, I'd like to, you know, publish some stuff though, and just go through and take some of those licks and just see where that goes. Obviously, you know, I've got a couple of screenplays in progress. I'd like to finish the one that I've been working on forever, kind of the Nashville project, and just get that done and see. I mean, who knows? It might just live in a drawer for the rest of its life, but it probably won't. Like I've been working on it long enough, but and just kind of move that into a production. I don't know if it'll go in there, but just see where that goes. I mean, the screen thing, like getting away from like. I don't feel like there's a big leap for me to take. It's just kind of continuing to iterate in that. Obviously, health and running and travel and family and meditating and all of like there's all these things. But
the big thing with this is like to sort of cement the outlets, the website. Yeah. Cement the outlets for your body of work.
Yeah.
And then the body of work that is still being worked on, maybe not to finish it, but to get to a stopping point on a few projects and then just have them ready to be shared. You know, whatever is going to happen with them. Like a screenplay is weird because you can't do a lot with it. You can go produce it. You can submit it to a screenwriting competition. You can share it with your friends, you know, versus... 36 photographs that you think, you know, are a project.
No, I mean,
you have on your website.
You're spot on though. It's like, it's the infrastructure.
Yeah.
Right.
The infrastructure.
It's the infrastructure side of things. It's like all of the build up to be like, okay, I want to own the stack here. Or like, I want to control this. And like in reality, it's just me waking up in the morning and like making sure I'm in good health and making sure I'm in a good mental space and like sitting at that table and sitting in that chair and reading and like, that's and you know, having experiences, travel, like all of that feeds. But yeah, it's okay. You know, Darkroom, gallery, like, website, like, it's the infrastructure. It's just starting to build that physical kind of outlet and digital. Yeah. But yeah, I think that's a great way to sum it up.
Yeah.
And that's kind of it's also like involving that audience. We've been doing, but all of my work is kind of internal and it has been. And I mean, I'll share glimpses and bits and pieces with you, and obviously, like with certain people, and with Audrey, and and but even then, like I don't share a lot of anything. Like I've burned more work than I've shared in the last few years, and it's like starting to involve the audience a little bit, and not necessarily from like building my brand. That's not how I think about it, but just from like work is only 50%. The responsibility of the artist. It's like the sharing that also, not that I'm an artist in any sense of the word, but like just the stuff that I'm making or whatever, starting to put that out, and then also just continue to refine that creation process and be more disciplined about that. So That's where I'm at.
Okay.
I mean, I would like to do the no buy thing we talked about on the last episode. I think that's just a really interesting thing. Plus, taking some of my mental energy away from that consumption of things, and putting it towards this infrastructure and like feeding this infrastructure is.
And the consumption of things could be like not getting some work done on this stuff because you got sucked into like movies all day, or maybe on rare occasions like fucking off with Claude for 3 hours. I'm not saying you do that.
No,
but just as an example of the
just
types of things.
Even worse, just watch or learning all about some new thing, because I love learning about new things.
Yeah.
And I don't necessarily want to stop that.
Right.
But like last year, I learned how to maintain motorcycles.
Right.
And I'm super glad I did that. That's a good experience to have. But I went from not knowing anything about motorcycles to owning a motorcycle, and maintaining it, all of that.
Yeah.
That takes a lot, especially how I kind of am on things. That takes a lot of my time and energy.
Yes.
And that's just pulling from this.
Yeah.
And not that that's a bad thing. And I want
it has value.
But if I had to do something for this next 12-month period, I think it is kind of, and it's a big year for me too. In a funny way. It's this is, I'm January 5th, I turned 30, and
holy shit.
I know that's funny. We never talk about age, and it's
I just generally see you as late 20s.
Yeah.
26 to 29 is.
I love that.
is sort of where my head goes.
Most people see me 30. As the old man. So.
Well, you are old souled.
I have a lot of old man tendencies. But yeah, I turned 30, and I mean.
Daddy turns 10.
That's insane. See, that's more insane than, that's more insane than
my daughter and Alex share a birthday. Which is so helpful because I would forget your birthday.
It's so easy. But yeah,
Audrey's birthday.
That's a weird, milestone.
Yeah.
Not that it changes anything or that any year is any different than another. I don't really look at it as but it is an interesting okay.
It is. I mean, I don't know if it has as much impact as the sort of stereotypical midlife crisis kind of thing, like that 40 to 45 kind of thing that happens, which happened to me, of course.
Yeah.
But
well, it's for my family, my granddad, my dad, my uncle, that is midlife.
Yeah. Right. But there is sort of a I believe, whether it's highly perceptible or not, a shift in your perspective on where you are in time starts to shift, I feel like, as you get into your 30s, especially as, I don't want to say pressures, but other forces come at play just from society and culture, whether it's kids, you already got married, culturally homeownership, this thing, that thing, and you're either pushing against those things because you're still connected emotionally to being young. Yeah. Not that you're getting old, you're old when you hit 30, but there's sort of a different energy to your 20s than there is your 30s. Yeah.
Well, it's we want to have kids soon, and that's going to happen. And so it's part of the reason where I'm okay, I want to focus on this for the next 12 months is influenced by the idea that it is much easier to quote unquote build infrastructure.
Right.
When you don't have that.
Yes.
I can wake up in the morning and sit down for, X hours and create and travel. You can do that with kids. Obviously there's different dynamics and things like that, but it's hard to build infrastructure. It's hard to get a first film made. Yeah. With, with toddlers running around. Right. Or it's hard to.
Yeah. It's just extra things to have you go, fuck it.
Yeah. So, we talked on the last episode, there was that quote where it was momentum is a spiritual thing. And, it's so I'm trying, this year is getting the momentum rolling in a way where it's not gonna stop. Yep. Because even it's funny, we were traveling a lot the last couple of weeks and we got back And I'd been running hyper consistently for the last couple of months.
Yeah.
And it's like I stopped for a couple of days. It's so hard to get that engine going again.
Yep.
So anyways, yeah, what do you have? I don't want to drag all this.
Well, a lot of what I've thought about in the last maybe 3 months, I keep thinking back to a stretch of time where things just felt a little different and better in the areas where now, where this year things didn't feel good, mostly revenue and just like consistent earnings and sort of a foundation of dependable revenue. And there was this stretch where I think Dottie and maybe even Goldie were in preschool. So they were there from like 7:30 a.m. till 5 o'clock in the evening. And so you just mentioned, working on things when you have kids. Well, it was really easy to get a lot of work done because I had the house to myself. I would usually go to the coffee shop later in the day and just like power through a little bit of admin stuff, maybe write an article for Medium, and I was the most disciplined I've ever been, the most consistent I've ever been, and had the most momentum I'd ever had. And it had manifested in channel growth, sponsors coming to me, sort of my pick of what I wanted coming at me revenue-wise and the work that I wanted to go out. I mean, I could write an article on Medium before they changed their partner program, and it wasn't like automatic every time, but like an article about 5 tips for Mac OS, blah, 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 could make like $400.
Yeah.
And I could write that article in 45 minutes, put the pictures in, you know what I mean? Like, so I was in this state of like, I can just like have ideas and make money from them.
I can just do, I can just do things. There's
there's
no
just like
friction.
snap my fingers and earn revenue and sort of have my choice of where I want it to be coming from. Now, I wasn't like making all this money and like paying things off, and my salary was great. There were still issues that needed to be dealt with, but that baseline
when was this period, just so people can go back and like watch episodes from that time too?
It might have been before we were doing it.
So it was a couple years ago.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I mean, this is probably like, this is when, Goldie's in first grade right now. So when they were both in, this is probably between 3 and 4 years ago.
Yeah. So yeah, probably definitely a little bit before, but.
And so, I literally remember sitting at the coffee shop going, I have 18 minutes before I have to leave. What can I do in 18 minutes that will have an impact? And I was like on it.
Yeah.
But then, and this is, the podcast is part of what led to, it wasn't the big thing was the sponsorship money, like starting to evaporate and then going, I'm over leveraged on this, on the sponsorship money being the bulk of my revenue. And I am, it's like the housing market, if this thing crashes, then like you're in real trouble.
when the tide goes out, you see who's not wearing any pants kind of situation. Right. Yeah.
And then, as our relationship grew stronger because of the podcast and working together and all that stuff and getting introduced to cameras and photography and this, sort of all that upheaval that was created. I let all that discipline, consistency, and momentum fall away and started experimenting with how do I reconfigure this whole thing to be more of who I am rather than, I wrote this down, this idea of me rather than me. Yeah. Sort of like, oh, I'm a YouTuber. Well,
like a brand rather than
it's sort of like a role. I think honestly, as from acting,
a role,
not a brand, but like, okay, well, if I'm a YouTuber in the tech area, I should look the part. So I should get a short haircut. I have a beard, and I didn't literally like
embody hustle culture,
like write this down. It's sort of like it comes at you.
It's
in pieces.
zeitgeisty too. Like I'm sure it was like Casey Neistat, like kind of like Gary Vee, Peter McKinnon,
more of those guys, like you sort of see the people that are doing well and you think about emulating them. Maybe you shift your wardrobe a little bit. You do like look at, stuff like Gary Vee and different stuff about hustle culture
Just
and
human
the work
nature.
and all that
Yeah,
stuff.
Yeah.
And there was, I'm sitting here talking about having thought back on that time because there were a lot of really good feelings from having been consistent and having that momentum and all that. Now, the downside was I was pretty much alone all the time. Yeah, we would go to coffee or this or that every once in a while, but I wasn't having enough experiences in the real world where the internet wasn't a part of it.
Yeah.
Or social media, my content creation, whatever. So with typewriters and vintage cameras and changing my wardrobe and all of this stuff, it sort of like this shedding this role that I thought I had to play to be successful, and sort of, okay, well, I got to do a little bit of what Gary says, I got to do a little bit of what Peter's doing, got a little bit of what they're doing, and it's like putting all this costume on to like play a part. Started going, doing these things, photography, fashion, all that stuff. Like, this is what I used to do. I used to do things like this. And photography, while I didn't go out and do photos, I was always cultivating my experiences and grabbing moments to use in my screenplays. And I'd personally rather make photographs than have screenwriting be like the big way to take what I'm seeing in the real world and translate it into a poetic moment or a scene or a movie or story or whatever.
Yeah.
So in continuing in 2026 to sort of like be who I really am rather than this part I'm going to play in order to be a successful YouTuber and to, to get the gold star from Gary Vee and all those guys. How can I kind of take the best of what that experience was, consistency, discipline, momentum, and what I love about the last year and a half, 2 years, which is meeting more people, being present, not making so much of it be internet and social media based, and really marry them together.
Yeah.
With still focusing on diversifying revenue, but figuring out a better way to create a foundation of revenue that's more natural for me to make. Which it feels like this combination of e-commerce and retail feels like it gives me the best chance at that right now. And that could change. So if I'm able to set that foundation of e-commerce and retail-based revenue, if I'm able to then make the work that goes on YouTube that's more from a place of curation, and I'm not seeing videos like this and I want to make a video like that because I'm not seeing it. It is going to have value and not just be weird and esoteric and all that stuff, but something that I think my audience will enjoy. I think, do much better with generating revenue on those platforms, attracting sponsors and all that stuff by creating videos that I want to make rather than videos I need to make.
Yeah.
So if I'm able to do all that, the outcome is, and I wrote a few things down, that I'm focused but relaxed.
Yeah. It's like you spent all of this time, and it's funny because it sounds like, oh, you spent all this time just to get back, but you really it's like you had a house and the foundation was really poorly done.
Yeah.
And you had to literally tear down the house, rebuild the foundation.
Yeah.
And now you don't have a house.
Yep.
But at least the foundation is like whatever comes up now, we'll have that. And that's kind of what we were talking about when you were in the middle of your upheaval. So,
and
excuse like the really
really
good basic metaphor.
Yeah, no, it's great because that is a lot of it. And when you realize that the foundation is going to eventually cause the house to collapse, and you decide to be proactive and kind of take it out and rebuild it, the way that it needs to be, you know, and I am just like a few months into, maybe 2 months into there being like this, okay, there's like this foundation of revenue from the e-com and from retail at Josh's shop where I'm like, I feel like I can relax a little bit.
There's
I can
a potential
breathe
here. Yeah.
And I can be like, okay, I'm not going to scramble to make this video and sort of like not half-ass it, but just like rush it. Like, oh, I'm going to rush this video because I need to get it out. Like, I want to be more mindful. I want to deploy more craft. I watched this video, and I won't spend a lot of time on this. I watched this video about blue jeans, Japanese denim, and these men looming denim and then another man dyeing the denim.
Yeah.
With indigo, real indigo, which is why they're so expensive. And they're saying like he has done this for 40 years.
Yeah.
There's something about like wanting to deploy a higher level of craft on what I make, not feeling like I got to rush things out there because this made up idea that the audience is like waiting for you to put something out. Like, hey, dude, it's been a week.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck? Like, let's go. And if I can have that foundation of revenue where I am able to have breathing room with just how intense I feel about meeting my financial obligations, I can have room for that stuff, which I think then will lead to better work, more consistent work, more consistently better work, and ultimately get me the results I want rather than just like rushing stuff out there because like, whatever stupid thought I have. I also wrote a note here too to exercise, like The Exorcist, exercise grandiosity and failure.
Yeah.
We talked about this before. I won't spend a lot of time on this, but I've been plagued with, you know, we had this in the narcissism conversation, just sort of plagued by just this idea that I am like, I deserve some huge successful thing in my life.
Yeah.
I don't know why it's there, but it is. And then like there's all these moments if I'm out digging for records or I'm grabbing vintage clothing or I'm making a YouTube video where I have these moments where I go, you're a fucking piece of shit. Like, you're looking through a box of records right now. Like, you're supposed to be like sitting on some Hollywood backlot, like taking meetings, or you're supposed to be, you know, in Paris, like hanging out. Like you're supposed to like be way above this. And then I just have these like crushing thoughts of how much of a failure I am. And I just like, I want that to be over with.
Yeah.
And hopefully this idea of the difference between the idea of who I am rather than who I really am.
Yeah.
If you can shed this idea you have of who you should be rather than who you really are, you can just be like, okay, I just am who I am and I do what I do.
You start to almost like form a relationship with yourself in a sense where you're like, hi, I'm Matt.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I like that guy.
Yeah.
Like, there is no, like, what, are you kidding me? Because that's not useful, nor is it accurate, right? You have this voice, and you when you exercise that or just talk to that, and you embrace it, and you're just like, okay, hey,
yeah,
I think that's, I don't know, that was moving. Yeah, it's something I think a lot of people can probably relate to.
Well, and I think to wrap it up, it's like I'm like chasing the things that I think are going to achieve, that are going to like make my life line up with the grandiosity, like this feeling of I'm supposed to be a big deal.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, well, screenwriting is a tool that will get me there, or this is a tool that will get me there. You're not actually doing things that you like. And, you know, in the photography, sourcing vintage, I sit there and I go, I love doing this stuff.
Well, the irony is like a lot of that is some falsified vision anyways of like, like the Hollywood backlot.
Yeah.
What's more artificial than that?
Right.
It's like the best
literally.
metaphor for that.
Yeah.
But then also you have this idea of like, you're seeking out this thing, and as time moves on and you get closer to like, oh man, like midlife, 3/4 life, whatever, you start to like, in order to not crumble, like for that internal personality, or that, that internal, persona is a good way to talk about it, I guess. For that not to crumble, then you have to start cutting corners to falsify this this achievement.
That's
or to like oh man, like I can't actually, I'm out of time to build the to do the groundwork.
You start panicking.
So then I have to cut these 5 corners and just jump in at this top level. And obviously, like that's already an artificial. Like anything that's good takes that. You have to do the groundwork. You have to lay the foundation. I hate that. We keep going back to that.
Right.
But and then you start cutting all these corners, and so then you're just you're this fake like, oh, like you have people that are 55 and they start a company,
right?
And it's a total illusion, but they have to continue to believe that's real for them not to crumble, and it just gets more and more dangerous.
And you're chasing an idea of who you should be or where you should be in your life, and you're clamoring to use these things as tools to achieve that. And as you get older, there is a sense of like panic or falling behind or whatever that then throws craft and care and patience and all that out the window, and you're just flailing. You're a mess. You're drowning.
It's the irony is like then you've completely defeated. Like Audrey and I will listen to podcasts sometimes, and it's especially you hear artists and like the way that they approach their work is so culturally driven or so like comparison driven. You're like, it's like, it's almost interesting to call it, because my intuition always says like, if that's the way they're looking at it, like their whole view of the thing is off.
Right.
So
exactly.
like there's no way that they'll ever achieve a great whatever it is, because their entire perception of how the thing works is fraudulent.
Yep.
And you get the same kind of result.
And so think about the things that you're doing. When I was 29 years old, approaching 30, not only, let's say I had those goals, but I'm sitting there like this stuff has to happen like ASAP, because this grandiose thing in my brain says I'm supposed to be at this level. Like, Kurt Cobain, by the time he was 27, was like, had all these I should have my version of that by now. Yeah. And all these people accomplish these amazing things by, in their 20s. I'm behind.
Yeah. I need to be there.
And I want all of the stuff that happens when you achieve that. I want the attention, or I want the wealth, or I want, all these things, because I just, whether I was born with that feeling or it happened through life, all that stuff. And so I want to get to a place where, and this is part of my design for 2026, where that part is exercised and I can just be what I am, which is someone who makes videos on the internet, writes articles,
great dad,
sources,
great husband,
sources,
community member. I mean, it sounds really goofy and like cliche, but it's like those are the things that are bringing the value anyways. If you're on a backlot, you have to give that up. Yeah, you're not with your kids because you're on a fucking backlot. Right. You're not with your wife because you've never invested any time into that relationship, and it's like some people that's all they need, and that's what they want. But
so that I wrote down the return of discipline, but the allowance for spontaneity and impulse, as long as it's exploration, expansion, new ideas, new people, new opportunities, versus, you alluded to this a little bit with like the consumption thing, and at least this is what I felt you meant, using spontaneity as a way to get out of doing the disciplined hard work that builds momentum and all that.
And even that, be careful, you'll spend a month learning about motorcycles.
Right. And that's, I have to watch that. I wrote, as opposed to quick hits dopamine, avoiding responsibility and hard work, but like feeling productive because you did this or did that.
Yeah.
But it ultimately is a step away from what you're trying to achieve, a distraction. Curation, not promotion, which we've talked about plenty of times. I do want to sort of like outline my weeks a little bit. Like I don't want it to be rigid like it was this time I'm talking about, where like I had every single day, like not blocked out in like 15-minute increments, but really, really regimented. I want to do things where at the end of the day, I'm kind of like, here are some ideas for what I should do tomorrow to continue to stay on track. I could write an article. I could shoot, a couple tutorial videos and just have them banked in the bank so I can edit them when I want to, and just have a little bit more focus on what I'm going to do at the end of every day. Really have nights and weekends for family, because in this state this year of sort of like reworking everything, being in a place of scarcity and a little bit of desperation on the financial side with the business, it starts really encroaching on nights and weekends where I am like literally working all weekend, whether it's cleaning some vintage thing and getting it ready for resale, or being at Josh's shop, or going to estate sales or thrifting or whatever. Like I have enough inventory. I have enough little cool products and cameras where I'm good for a while. Like I don't need to let this stuff take up the time that I want to carve out
dominate
for
your life,
family and friends. Things too, like updating the website. I want to, get that done. But I want to feel more peaceful, more open, more flow. Less. I mean, you're always going to have anxiety, but I want to dissipate the anxiety that came from a lack of a financial foundation, and a little bit of anxiety from like, is what I'm doing to reconfigure all this going to kind of work? Like, is this actually going to play out the way I think it will? But reduce that pressure, stress, the feelings of desperation and the chaos. I wrote down too, when you were talking about something like, a lot of times this year, like the story of this year was I had an amazing day, but I didn't know it.
Yeah. You didn't recognize it until you like looked back, or like you didn't recognize it, period.
Probably period, because you're so caught up in this feeling of scarcity and this like I got to get this figured out. I have to get this stuff sorted. That you like
just on a personal level, like I definitely, especially on some podcasts, like you'll come in and there is like a high level of anxiety.
It's and
I'm like, oh man, like
we gotta go. We gotta I don't have enough
and
time.
like I'm all about like I sometimes, especially the two of us, we have the tendency to just like blow a bunch of time.
Yeah,
but sometimes there is like almost like not a negativity, but just like a scarcity.
Right.
Just like
no, absolutely,
like, dude. Everything in my life is not like the revenue's not there, and it's like I hate seeing that because I'm like, man. Like, look at all this cool stuff. Like, there's so much good stuff. Or like, there's even just like, sometimes you'll be like, hey, check out this thing I found today. But then you're like, I'm not making enough to, and it's just, part of that gets relieved once that becomes less of an issue. But I definitely think I'd like to see a point where that's like not the driving mindset. Yeah.
And that again is the goal too, is in contrast this year to next year, I want to show up for every podcast sort of like managing a different level of problems in life. Like, because we're always going to have problems. We're always going to have issues, stresses, anxiety, all that stuff. Right. But like, to me, the worst one for me, and this is probably still a place of privilege, right? Like, hey, at least you have food, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to sound like I don't acknowledge the fact that there are people that have even more crisis, chaos.
I mean, there's some people that literally
they
don't know where the next meal is coming from.
Yes, exactly. And like, especially with things that are happening with SNAP and all that kind of stuff. The healthcare thing, the subsidy healthcare possibly lapsing. I've had people posting about what their health insurance cost is going to be.
Yeah.
I'm very fortunate that isn't a big deal, and I'm just talking about revenue for my content creator business, right? But I want to be able to show up and not have that. It's not even just anxiety. It's honestly like a little buzz of panic all the time.
Yeah.
Like you're just like,
there's like a fire in there all the time that might catch the fuse.
Right.
And then
that the deck, the kind of the house of cards that you've built to kind of get by what you're doing to
part of that
reconfigure
might
everything
just
isn't
be
going to
internal
collapse.
Because I feel that way about everything all the time.
Yeah.
And I think you and I probably have similarities there. Like, there is a difference, I think.
Yeah. So if I can show up and have, stresses and frustrations and all that stuff, fine. But I just don't want to have that energy. Like, we got to get this going and get this wrapped, because I got to get back to like doing all this stuff that I'm hoping is going to level things off for me.
Yeah.
So that would be nice. And then, the other thing with the financial foundation, that'll be part of 2026, is just getting back to exercise. I think a lot of my stress and anxiety and that little buzz of panic, while having an uncertain financial foundation for the business is part of, a part of what causes that. Something that helps medicate that is exercise and these 30-minute walks I used to do. And for a year and a half, I was doing them.
Yeah.
And I look back on that time as well, like I was talking about being at the coffee shop and being disciplined and getting something done with the last 18 minutes of the day. But I'd always come away, at least from the 30-minute walks, with such a feeling of accomplishment that I didn't give in to my indulgence and wanting to just, I can't do it today. I've got too much to do.
Yeah.
But then also just like the meditative power it had to be able to organize your thoughts and relax and, just all that stuff.
When I'm running, like periods of time when I'm running, it's so much better, like creatively, so much more, just so much more intensity and like just your creative process and the things that come to mind, like just that that it's like a cornerstone habit to everything,
right?
Like,
and
starts there, and then
what I'm grateful for was that 2 years where I was really disciplined and consistent with work, to the point where I feel like it was pulling away from my personal life and time in the real world and being present and all that a little bit too much. But then also with the exercise and the walking, not doing it for as long as I have not done it. Now I have something to compare and contrast between.
Yeah.
And I can go, okay,
wow.
Now I like extra know how important these things are, because I've gone without them and I miss them and I see what their value was. And my hope is that as I make that shift for 2026, that it's even easier than it was back then to do it consistently.
Yeah.
Just like this year has shown me how important it is to take time to jump into, stop by Stefan and Trey at workshop and chop it up with them a little bit, or to go see a movie with Alex today, or, to do those things, which we're still on track for, to do those.
What time is that?
3:30.
Okay. Yeah. We're good.
Yeah. To do those things and say, okay, this is important and I'm going to make room for this. This is important, make room for it. I'm going to meld the two together and have some boundaries on, this doesn't encroach here. This doesn't encroach there. And have that be what 2026 is like and feels like.
Yeah. The synthesis year.
Yeah. So, on the personal side, and this isn't a whole big other 20-minute thing to go into, but some of the things I want to see result from it is, less stress from my wife just about our overall financial situation.
Yeah.
a feeling of more freedom as a family, or me with the kids, to go to Colorado to visit my buddy, or travel regionally, going out to eat here or there with the kids, like just sort of like do a little bit more experience-based stuff. That's a bigger bite.
Yeah.
And not always financially. It could be time or whatever. Because this year I've felt so panicked for time that it's like, well, I can't go to LA and visit Nick. I can't take my kids out to Colorado and then go home to visit my mom.
Well,
like,
I'll lose my routine. It'll throw everything off for a month.
Or this thing I'm building, I'm going to get set back too far, and I'm not going to be, sort of in a position to create the thing to me that's most important, which is that base financial foundation. So I just want to feel like there's more room to do that stuff. And the last time that we did have that was that time where the sponsorship money was there and all that stuff was going on. And then the last thing I'll say is I just broke down sort of the 3 areas of making stuff for the internet, between articles and videos and whatever, I'm doing there. I'm going to have, my Final Cut Pro kind of retro tech pillar. There will be like a camera and photography pillar, and then this sort of like vintage reselling vinyl little world. And those things will come out in the form of YouTube videos, e-commerce, writing on Medium. Those will be sort of the places where I put that stuff. Obviously, little stuff like Instagram or whatever for that.
You should think about subs. I don't know if they do video now.
Yeah,
but I'm just thinking from like a.
I'm gonna talk,
because isn't it subscription like?
I don't know, but I'm gonna talk to ChatGPT about it, just to see like what the differences are in the platform. The big thing with
I don't
Medium
know. I feel like it does a bunch of those.
Yeah.
I don't know how competitive it is to YouTube, but I know that there's people that have like podcasts on there. And I have no idea though.
Gonna figure that out. The big thing with Medium is I already have like 500 followers. I already have an audience there. And then all the body of work is all on that Medium page as well. So, but
I think we even uploaded a couple of these episodes to Substack.
Oh, we did?
I think so.
Okay.
This was like a year ago, and we were like, oh, we're going to slowly build the archive. And I think I just didn't keep going. But I mean, I think it was like, because we got like 1 view or something. We put like 4 episodes up. We got like 1 or 2 views an episode.
Yep.
I'm going to check. They're going to be like, oh, this is actually the majority of our listeners. Substack. But I don't know.
All right, 2 more things and I'll wrap up my stuff. And this is, I'm sharing this stuff because I want the people who are listening that are kind of doing what I'm doing. They're developing multiple streams of revenue without sounding too commerce-y, but they're people that are creative, but they're running their own business. Or
I'm curious what our audience is, because I bet there's definitely probably some of that like entrepreneur.
Mm-hmm.
There's definitely I don't know. Like there's definitely probably like I honestly don't know. Like I'm very curious as to what the segmentation is. But
Yep. So I just listed some the different sources of revenue, AdSense on YouTube, sponsorships from brands, affiliate revenue, e-commerce, which could include my own digital products, which I have one primarily that I sell through my YouTube channel. It could even be something like photo prints through my website, as I develop my photography work. And then, e-com and retail. And with e-com and retail being something I can very easily, I don't want to say this in the negative sense of the word, but something I can be in control of rather than sort of like hoping a sponsor wants to give me money to feature their stuff on my channel. I can have a little bit more control over the e-com and retail element, but then I can also feel better about what I'm putting on there because it is more about curation and that thing speaking for itself.
Yeah.
Rather like a Carhartt coat, like I don't have to like convince you to think it's a good thing or like it's a quality made product or a pair of vintage Levi's jeans. Like
It's just there.
People already know and they want it. I'm just finding them and bringing them to market rather than like, hey, you've never heard of Auphonic before, but I'm going to tell you why you have to have it.
Yeah.
And it have it feel very promotional rather than curation. And those streams of revenue to me, if I can hit $100,000 in gross revenue with all of that work next year, I'm going to like that is what is
Have
going
a
to
parade.
That's what's going to make me
This
go.
episode next year will be like,
Yeah.
excellent.
This is working. You can do this,
Yeah.
and now just grow that, but don't ratchet up the intensity of your time and inputs
Yeah.
and all that. Just continue to hone the craft of doing.
I mean,
that.
that's a great mindset though, is you're just like, I'm not trying to build $1 million business here.
Right.
You're just like, just enough to not have to worry.
Yeah.
And it's something sustainable and I enjoy it.
Yep.
And you're like, if I can get there, then it's just a healthy way to look at it, I think.
Yeah. And I think the second thing I was going to bring up was if I'm able to achieve all of this, then I'm making time for exercise and my walks and reading in the morning. And all of that's going to make these podcasts better because I will be able to contribute new ideas.
Yeah.
I'll be reading new books. I'll be, expanding just my understanding of the world, my nature, consciousness, all of that stuff through the things that I'm reading, whether it's a John Updike novel or a book that you share with me about philosophy. And I want all of this stuff to feel good.
Yeah. It's just so funny how everything is integrated.
Yeah.
Everything's integrated.
Yep.
Like,
Because I literally don't feel like I can even spend a second exploring new ideas that aren't related to, or videos that aren't related to researching my stuff.
I was reading a book about finance. It's like about the House of Morgan. Mm-hmm. I was reading it when I was at the beach, and it talks about like the transition, and I think this is fascinating, but it talks about the transition of like the everyman, like tycoon or bit like whatever, like just the evolution of like the American financier. Like obviously there's a lot of people that think a lot of things about that, but just I think it's fascinating from like an aesthetic perspective, and it's fascinating from like but they talked about, you had these people who were, jack of all trades. Like they traveled, they were well read, they listened to music, and they, knew people from all different groups, and like they had this broad skill set that crossed industries, and it crossed genres, and like they could play the piano, and they wrote and read poetry, and at the same time they're like business people and tycoons and and it's like, and then at a certain point you specialized.
Yep.
And the whole world went to like specialization.
Yeah.
And you could, the book talks about like at one point you could literally draw a line, and it's like before you had these people who were these just,
generalists, right?
Yeah, generalist, and in the best way possible. Yep. And they had these visions of the world, and they could kind of see how everything connected, and that influenced everything else. And then at one point you specialized, and then, I mean, I'm not saying it was like good then. I'm not saying it was great, but like, there's definitely a change, and like it lost its soul. And that's the big thing they talk about, is it lost its soul. And I mean, that's, you could honestly, good microcosm for the rest of the world. Yeah. And like, you get your soul back when you kind of generalize.
And I think that's honestly kind of that's a great way. I hadn't thought about it, but that's a great way, not to make this back as a thing on me, but
no, it's,
I feel like that's kind of what this has been, like the idea of me versus who I am. It's almost like I sold my soul to the grandiose, to achieving that, to whatever I was born with or nurtured me into, just like, oh, well, if you're not a big deal, what then what else is there? And chasing that, I mean, from acting school to screenwriting, Hollywood, moving to LA, failing out there, all this stuff, still clinging to like, okay, well, what can I do from here? Or what's like the next thing, YouTube, all that. And like, I am hopeful that part of what's happening with reworking all this isn't, okay, well, I'm going to come up with a new tool to achieve this grandiose result, this grandiose outcome. It's actually the opposite. It's, I'm going to do all these things to really figure out who I am and what I like and what I want to do with
there's
my
not
life.
There's not a solution that you're gonna buy or find.
Right.
The solution is it's how you look at
right.
Yeah.
And there isn't a solution that you're sort of gonna like play the part.
Yeah.
And like, okay, these are the things that you're supposed to do if you're this person. You're supposed to you're supposed to do this, wear this, talk like this, write these things, make this stuff, read these books, like you know, like so if everything that I'm doing is just sort of reconnecting to soul, for lack of a better word, then that makes me feel even better about what could happen in 2026 with the work and just feeling better.
I think like the like getting back to just being a human, a generalist or whatever. Yeah. I'm excited to see where it goes.
And I wonder if like wanting to detach from the internet more is a part of that. Like, well, the internet was such a great tool for acquiring better tools to achieve this.
And it still is, but it's like we've kind of learned what it's really good for and what it's terrible for. Yeah. And it's like now with that knowledge, we can kind of just be like, okay, I'm going to use it for these things. I'm not going to use it for these things. But
just bring on that feeling of peace.
Here's to 26.
It had been a golden afternoon, and I remember having the familiar conviction that life was beginning over again with the summer.